The motorcycle industry is shifting faster than most riders realize. Behind the polished marketing and glossy model year announcements, some of the biggest names are wrestling with serious financial pressure. From aging customer bases to inventory pileups, from governance scandals to razor-thin margins, the warning signs are there if you know where to look. You will discover which brands are in big trouble. We're about to walk through 8 motorcycle brands facing bankruptcy, and more importantly, what that means for you as a rider. So stay tuned. Your favorite brand might be on this list. Number 8. Indian motorcycles. Indians should be thriving right now. The bikes are excellent, powerful, comfortable, and loaded with technology. The Challenger and Pursuit lineups go toe-to-toe with Harley's best motorcycles. But the vibe on the ground tells a different story. Polaris, the parent company of Indian motorcycles, stopped breaking out Indian's revenue in quarterly reports. And industry analysts estimate the brand's global market share is hovering below 4%, despite years of heavy investment. Walk into an Indian dealership and you'll see plenty of chrome and leather, but not a lot of 25 or 35-year-olds who are interested in buying an Indian motorcycle. The average buyer is over 45, and most new models are priced north of $30,000. That's a tough sell for younger riders juggling student loans and soaring housing costs. Resale on Indians has held up better than some expected, but the secondary market is thin. You'll wait longer to move a used Indian than a used Harley or a Japanese cruiser. It's just not worth it anymore to own one. So the question is, can Indian avoid becoming a boutique brand as the market shifts to lighter, cheaper, more electric machines? If it doesn't widen its appeal or introduce accessible mid-range bikes, its loyal base may keep shrinking. The danger isn't that Indian will vanish overnight. It's that the brand becomes irrelevant to the next generation of riders. Watch for any movement toward electric or mid-displacement adventure models. If Indian launches something in the $15,000 to $20,000 range with modern styling, that's a signal they're serious about broadening their base. But if the lineup stays heavy, chrome, and expensive, the demographic squeeze tightens. So what do you think? Do you see a comeback or a cliff? Drop a comment, then hit like and hype to keep this debate rolling. Anyway, if you're still considering an Indian, you better check service lead times and parts availability in your area first. Smaller dealer networks mean longer waits when something breaks. And if you're buying used, favor model years 2021 and newer for better electronics and warranty coverage. Resale will hold stronger on the more recent platforms, but when you zoom out, you'll see that it's a generation gap. Experienced riders buy heritage and highway comfort. Young riders buy value, tech, and monthly payments. That tension sets up the next brand who's about to fall. Number 7. Royal Enfield. Do you still remember when Enfield felt untouchable, timeless, and everywhere? Today, that momentum is softening. Sales growth has stalled, and younger riders who don't value Enfield's iconic heritage. They rather chase spec sheets, apps, and tech from Yamaha, KTM, and Honda. Yes, the oil leak and vibration jabs are mostly history, but the stigma lingers, especially where Western markets reward hype over heritage. Look at the iconic 350. It's charming, simple, and affordable. But it's not fast, not particularly refined, and its real-world punch feels modest. Dealer coverage in many U.S. regions is thin, so parts can take weeks and downtime gets expensive. Resale is decent if you're patient, but the buyer pool is narrow, mostly retro enthusiasts, not the broad market. Service intervals are frequent, and maintenance costs add up faster than many Japanese equivalents. Taken together, that charm just isn't enough to persuade younger riders to embrace a classic over modern speed, tech, and convenience. What's at stake is Enfield's ability to evolve beyond nostalgia. When the growl of an iconic Enfield gets replaced by a zoom of an electric motorcycle, the mechanical soul starts to fade. The brand has deep pockets via Acre Motors, but it's trapped between heritage and modernity. And yes, they're trying with the Himalayan 450, the Gorilla 450, an electric flying flea project, but every step toward electric and app-driven features risks sanding off the raw, mechanical character that experienced riders value. But do we even want this icon to chase batteries and apps just to please younger buyers? Well, they don't really have a choice, because competitors are pushing adventure bikes, electric prototypes, and connected features, while Enfield kept playing the classic tune that now feels repetitive. Without true innovation, done the Enfield way, They risk losing the younger generation and the global buyers who want more than style. Watch for a strong adventure lineup or a credible electric prototype. Enfield has teased both, but execution has been slow. If they launch a capable 450 or 650cc adventure bike that undercuts the competition on price, that's a positive signal. If the lineup stays retro only, the market will keep moving past them. So if you're still considering buying a Royal Enfield, stick to the newer liquid-cooled models like the Meteor or Himalayan 450. Avoid older air-cooled engines unless you're comfortable with more frequent maintenance. Check local dealer density before purchase. If the nearest shop is more than an hour away, factor that into your decision. And budget for aftermarket upgrades. Enfield riders almost always spend another $1,000 to $2,000 on improvements. Royal Enfield and Indian are fighting a generational shift, a battle over heritage, value, and relevance. They're not the only ones. There's at least one other household icon that may lose. Is it Triumph, Honda, or Harley-Davidson? Before we answer that question, we head to Italy, the land of love, speed, and passion, where romance meets cold reality and sky-high costs. Think hand-formed fairings, trellis frames, single-sided swing arms. So ready to open up your wallet? Number 6, MV Agusta. MV Agusta. The very name drips with drama. The brutal, the F3, the super veloce. These aren't just motorcycles. They're rolling sculptures, machines so beautiful that even people who've never ridden a bike stop to stare. Every curve, every weld, every intake is handcrafted with obsession, wrapped in that unmistakable Italian passion. But here's the cruel truth. Beauty doesn't pay the bills. MV Agusta's biggest strength has always been its artistry. Its weakness, the numbers. Industry insiders estimate fewer than 5,000 units sold worldwide per year. That's not just small, that's microscopic. For context, Yamaha or BMW each move hundreds of thousands of motorcycles annually. MV isn't fighting in the market, it's surviving in a niche. And that exclusivity, as intoxicating as it feels, comes at a heavy price. Owners often describe the experience as exhilarating but exhausting. MV dealerships are rare. In some countries, there's just one. Parts can take weeks or even months to arrive. And if your warranty expires, resale value takes a nosedive. Servicing one is a specialized art form, and outside major cities, finding a mechanic who truly understands these machines is like hunting a unicorn. Even among enthusiasts, many admit that owning an MV is like dating someone breathtakingly beautiful but high maintenance. The performance is electrifying, the design is timeless, but the ownership cost? Brutal. If MV Agusta wants to survive, it must grow beyond its pedestal. A model under $20,000 backed by stronger dealer networks could reignite the brand. But if production remains boutique and prices remain sky-high, MV risks fading into legend status, admired, remembered, but gone. For die-hard fans, buying used makes the most sense. But go in with eyes wide open. Budget for expensive maintenance, secure an extended warranty if available, and research part availability before you commit. Some older models are nearly impossible to service outside Italy, and resale is slow. When you sell, your market is limited to a handful of passionate collectors, not everyday riders. MV Agusta will always be beautiful. The question is whether beauty alone can sustain it in a world dominated by reliability and reach. Now, before we move forward, let's pause for a quick recap. We've covered 3 brands so far. Indian, struggling with an aging rider base and premium pricing. Royal Enfield, fighting the same problem with modernizing their brand without losing heritage. And MV Agusta, crafting masterpieces too costly to sustain. So tell us, which one do you think falls first? Drop a comment below. Is it the Indian or the Enfield, or do you think it's the MV? Let's know what you think. And if you find this breakdown valuable, make sure to like and hype this video. It helps us reach more riders who love motorcycles as much as you do. And if you think MV Agusta is the only Italian brand on the brink of collapse, think again. Number 5, Benelli. Just as MV Agusta, Benelli was once a crown jewel of Italian motorcycling, a name that meant innovation, elegance, and European craftsmanship. Founded in 1911 in Pesaro, Italy, it stood proudly beside brands like Moto Guzzi and Ducati as a true symbol of Italian engineering passion. But times change, and so did Benelli's fate. Today, Benelli is owned entirely by China's Qianjiang Group, part of the vast Geely industrial empire that also controls Volvo and Lotus. That ownership has changed everything. The bikes still wear Italian names like Leoncino and TRK, still boast stylish curves and nods to the brand's heritage. But make no mistake, most are built in China, not Italy. And that shift has turned Benelli from a premium European nameplate into a budget-conscious brand fighting for relevance. That doesn't have to be fatal, but it has created an unmistakable identity crisis. Benelli's bestseller, the TRK 502, is a perfect symbol of that struggle. It's affordable, approachable, and surprisingly capable for its size. But while it wins fans with its low price, it loses them with inconsistency. Build quality varies wildly. Some riders report smooth performance for years, others fight electrical gremlins and rattling panels within months. Dealer networks are thin in both the US and Europe, meaning warranty claims can stretch on for weeks or longer. And when the time comes to sell, resale value drops hard. Riders who buy Benelli are often chasing value, but they're also accepting risk. If you're considering a Benelli today, treat it as a budget buy with budget expectations. Check for local dealer support before you commit, call them, and ask directly about parts availability and service lead times. Avoid buying new, let someone else take the depreciation hit. A used Benelli can be good value if you're mechanically inclined and patient. Keep every maintenance record, because that paperwork is often the difference between a resale and a regret. Italy, the land of love, passion, and craft, where dream bikes are forged in fire and folklore. But that romance, the very embodiment of Italian style, meets a cold reality of margins and math. Just like another marque famed for sexy lines, sculpted metal, and desire, the shine can hide the strain. So no, we're not done with Italy yet. Another icon faces the edge next. Number 4, Piaggio Group and Moto Guzzi. Moto Guzzi is a legend, one of the oldest motorcycle brands on Earth, born over a century ago beside Lake Como, Italy. That unmistakable transverse V-twin engine, the sound, the soul, it's all there. But under the Piaggio Group, this historic name has become something bittersweet, a beautiful ghost drifting through the modern era. Piaggio owns Aprilia, Vespa, Derby, and Moto Guzzi, but Guzzi sales now make up less than 5% of the group's motorcycle revenue. The current lineup, the V7, V9, and the ambitious V100 Mandello, are all fine machines, blending style with old-school character. But the audience is small, younger riders don't connect with the classic aesthetic, and older riders, the loyal ones, are aging out. What riders actually feel is charm, but also frustration. Guzzi dealers are sparse in the US. Parts can take weeks, and resale is soft unless you find another Guzzi enthusiast. The bikes are reliable once sorted, but service intervals are old school and labor intensive. The V100 Mandello brought modern tech, adaptive aerodynamics, and a liquid-cooled engine. But marketing was quiet, production was slow, and sales haven't moved the needle. What's at stake is whether Piaggio keeps funding the brand. Guzzi survives on sentiment, not sales. Competitors like Triumph dominate adventure, BMW leads touring, Ducati owns performance. Watch for this. Any major product announcement or dealer network expansion. If Guzzi launches a credible adventure bike under $15,000 or commits to an electric platform, that's a sign Piaggio is serious about keeping them alive. Best way to help us for free? Like, comment, share. That pushes this to more riders. But if you love Guzzis and want one, buy used and join the community forums early. Guzzi owners are incredibly helpful, and you'll need that network for parts sourcing and DIY guidance. Check dealer distance before purchase. If you're more than 2 hours from a Guzzi specialist, budget for shipping or trailering the bike for service, and embrace the quirks. For the next brand bikes reward patience and involvement, and once roared through racetracks and echoed across continents. Number 3, Norton Motorcycles. It wasn't just a motorcycle brand, it was a movement. A symbol of rebellion, freedom, and raw British engineering. From the Isle of Man to winding country roads, Norton represented grit with grace. Its bikes, the Dominator, the Commando, the Manx, became legends. But what began as a dynasty of speed slowly turned into one of the most heartbreaking cautionary tales in motorcycle history. After decades of silence, Norton rose from the ashes in the early 2000s, revived by businessman Stuart Garner. On the surface, it looked like a dream comeback. Gleaming hand-built cafe racers, polished chrome tanks, and engines that sang the old British tune of power and pride. For a while, it seemed like Britain had its champion back. But behind the shine, the reality was chaos. In the US, Norton's presence is almost invisible. Dealers are scarce, parts availability is uncertain, and resale is nearly impossible to predict. Meanwhile, Triumph is thriving, BSA has returned with momentum, and boutique makers like CCM are stealing headlines. Norton, by contrast, still feels like a gamble. Beautiful, nostalgic, but risky. If TVS maintains funding and grows the brand carefully, expanding production, building trust, and strengthening service networks, Norton could still carve out a future. But if the company remains slow, exclusive, and fragile, it risks fading again, this time for good. So here's the writer's move. Don't buy a Norton new unless you're truly wealthy or deeply nostalgic. If your heart insists, buy used with a full service record, transferable warranty, and verified parts support. Call TVS directly if you must. Be prepared for admiration everywhere you ride, but also frustration if things go wrong. Norton today isn't a daily machine, it's a conversation piece. If you own one, you're not just riding a bike, you're carrying the weight of a legend. Two last major legend remains. Is the faller Honda, Triumph, or Harley-Davidson? Before the reveal, hit subscribe, drop a like, and smash hype to back the channel. Time to face the final two contenders. Number 2, Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson is more than a motorcycle brand, it's an American symbol, a rolling declaration of freedom, power, and rebellion. For over 120 years, that thundering V-twin has echoed through generations. But today, the sound of that engine might be fading, because Harley, the undisputed king of the road, is facing serious headwinds. Global sales have been falling for nearly a decade. The average Harley buyer is now over 50 years old. Younger riders, the ones who should be carrying the torch, simply aren't buying in. Why? Price, perception, and practicality. A new Harley often costs north of $25,000 before accessories or customization. To younger riders managing student loans and rising living costs, that's not a motorcycle, that's a mortgage. The bikes themselves are heavy, expensive to maintain, and often impractical for city life. Longtime owners love the brand, the culture, the sound, but walk into a Harley dealership and you'll see mostly gray hair. Resale is strong on classic models like the Softail and Street Glide, but newer models, especially the Livewire and Pan America, haven't gained the cult following Harley hoped for. Service is reliable, parts are available, but costs are high, and insurance on Harleys runs steep. What's at stake is whether Harley can reinvent itself without losing its soul. The Livewire was supposed to be a revolution. Instead, it became a financial burden. The bikes are fast but expensive, with limited range and minimal charging infrastructure. If Harley launches a sub-$20,000 model with modern appeal or commits to a genuine, affordable electric platform with infrastructure support, that's a turnaround signal. If the lineup stays expensive and electric stays niche, the demographic squeeze continues. Also, if you're buying a Harley, stick to proven models with strong resale. Softail, Street Glide, Road Glide. Avoid first-year models of new platforms. Let others work out the bugs. Check dealer service capacity in your area. Some regions are seeing dealer consolidation, which means longer waits. Number 1, KTM and Pure Air Mobility. KTM has long been the rebel of the motorcycle world. Wild, orange, aggressive, built for adrenaline. The brand's rise was explosive, and by 2024, KTM, Husqvarna, and Gasgas, all under the Pure Air Mobility umbrella, were selling well over 300,000 bikes annually. But that rapid expansion came with a cost: overproduction, rising debt, and serious strain on the dealer network. Behind the orange glow, financial cracks are showing. Reports suggest profits have been slipping since 2023, with supply chain issues and inventory pileups hitting the balance sheet hard. Dealers across Europe and North America are quietly complaining about overcrowded warehouses and slow-moving stock. When dealers are stuck with unsold bikes, they stop ordering new ones, and that chokes the entire system. What riders actually feel is confusion and inconsistency. With 3 brands under one roof, KTM, Husqvarna, and GasGas, all producing similar bikes, customers are overwhelmed. A KTM 690 Enduro looks nearly identical to its Husqvarna twin. GasGas uses the same frames, engines, and parts. It's brand cannibalization on a global scale. Service experiences vary wildly by dealer. Some are excellent, others are swamped and slow. Parts availability is hit or miss, and resale on used KTMs is softening as the market floods with inventory. What's at stake is whether Pierre can control costs and simplify the lineup. The company's push into electric, through models like the e-Duke and e-Ride, has been lukewarm. Sales are low, pricing is high, and infrastructure remains weak. Meanwhile, their dependency on partnerships is growing. Stakes in MV Agusta, alliances with CF Moto in China, collaborations with Bajaj in India. Managing so many global relationships adds complexity and risk. A slowdown in any region could ripple through the entire operation. Watch for this: inventory normalization and dealer health. If KTM announces production cuts, dealer incentives, or a streamlined lineup, that's a sign they're addressing the problem. If inventory stays high and dealers keep complaining, the pressure builds. Also, watch for any news from Pierre's partnerships. Instability there could cascade fast. If you're buying a KTM, now might be a good time for deals as dealers. Clear inventory. Negotiate hard, especially on leftover model years. Check your local dealer's reputation. Obsessively, KTM ownership is only as good as your dealer. Avoid buying new unless you're getting a significant discount. Depreciation is steeper now with the market flooded. And if you're looking at used, favor low-mileage bikes with full service records. KTMs are tough, but they need maintenance, and deferred service kills resale. So there you have it. 8 brands facing real financial headwinds, from identity crises to overexpansion, from governance scandals to niche-scale challenges. The motorcycle world is changing faster than anyone expected. Some legends are fighting to survive. Others are slowly fading into history. Brands like Harley, Norton, and Benelli remind us that even icons can stumble when they lose touch with riders. But the story isn't over. The next few years will decide who rises and who disappears for good. These aren't predictions of certain bankruptcy, they're signals, patterns, risks. As riders, we need to understand the business side because it affects what we buy, what holds value, and what we can trust long-term. If you want honest, in-depth analysis on long-distance picks, brand watch lists, and the real state of the motorcycle industry, keep on watching by clicking on the next video, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ride with us.